Okay, Michelle, so how do you think you did on the lesson that you taught Noah the other day?
Well, the word study lesson, I was a little nervous because even though we had our planning conference, we talked about it, I still was a little bit nervous because I didn't know if he still was going to struggle with it or if it was just going to click for him. I didn't know how it was going to go. So I had really planned to, like we said, talk about what I'm going to do to model, what we're going to do guided together, and then what we're going to do, what he's going to do independently. But I do think it went really well.
So when you say you think it went really well, what did you see your student doing or tutor doing that you came to that conclusion that you did really well, that it went really well?
Well, the first thing was I said, today we're going to be doing another word sort. We have different words. And when I started to explain, he's sitting there nodding like, yep, I know.
Body language.
Yep, I'm ready. Like, I know exactly what I need to do this time. Because I think he was a little disappointed in himself the first time when he found out, like, oh, that's how I'm supposed to sort them. I feel like he was a little bit like, oh, I should have known how to do that kind of thing. So he was excited to, I kind of get it. And so I had said, watch how I do it. And I explained how I modeled the first couple. And as I was explaining, my choice of why I put this word here, he had already grabbed the next word and went like, it goes there, Mrs. Taylor, and so I kind of had to, I was anticipating modeling even more, so I had to okay, maybe he's ready to move on to, maybe I don't need to model anymore, let's give him one kind of on his own and see if he's ready, and he was. He got them, he did it pretty well. There's one minor thing he was a little bit confused on that I did have to guide him through.
And what was that again? Because I wrote a couple of things down that I wanted to.
I know it's hard, so I have it for you because you couldn't probably see all the tiles, so I was trying to explain. But so we had the 5 different end patterns: captain, human, apron, frighten, and basin. And as he was sorting, the difference is this is IN, but this is AIN. So some of the AIN he wanted to put under IN. Because yes, it does end in IN. And it was really hard for me because I didn't want to just, oh no, it goes here. I wanted him to come up with that conclusion. So I decided to, like you saw, put those words aside and look at some other. And maybe once he saw a couple more of the words, he was able to say, oh no, wait, there is a distinction. Like those have AIN, those have IN.
So he was able to tell the difference from captain and basin, the endings of AIN and IN, by using the visuals that he saw when he added more words in?
Yeah, because I think at first if it was only the 2 words, he kind of just saw they both end in IN, so he wasn't really sure what the difference was, and I wasn't going to tell him that was part of the purpose of the sort, was him to be able to come up with what are the different spelling patterns and what do all the words have in common, that they all have that same ending sound. But again, once he looked at a couple more words, he was easily able to make that connection, and he sorted the words.
And one thing that I did see was he was engaged. Even though sometimes he yawned a couple times, but he was engaged. He was taking in what you were teaching him. And I really like when you had taken your time to explain the difference between basin and bison. So he even, learned more through that. And okay, because I think he was trying to put the animal bison or confusing it with basin, so he said, no, this is what that is. So that I thought was, but it was just a nice touch to keep teaching more for that. And when he also said to him to come up with a rule and sound it out, that was, I think, helpful for him too, because he could say it and he could, you could feel your tongue. This is how you say it in your mouth, and then you hear it. I think that was helpful for Noah. What about your own behaviors during the lesson? How did you feel about that?
My own behaviors.
Or what did you recall about your own behavior? Like what you did was...
Well, I think I was excited because, again, I was a little apprehensive at first because I'm worried about, I have to do this and model this so he gets it. But once I saw it click for him, I was, relieved and oh, good. Oh, we got this. It's not that hard. And I think I definitely relaxed and we were able to move through the sort.
Exactly. I feel the same way. We get so excited and anxious because we want to get it done and have the student meet the objective, and then when they do it so quickly, you're like, wait, did I do it enough? Because he got it so quick? Yeah. But that's just good teaching. So Just my next question I wanted to ask you was, did anything that you planned change during your activity?
The main thing that I decided to change was he did get it quickly, so I shortened the number of words that I was planning to model. So I kind of jumped more, like, once I saw that he was already sliding a word, I let him move it and explain why he moved it. So we jumped into that guided part of the lesson quicker than I had anticipated, which was fine. And then what I decided to do was, after he did the initial sort, we shuffled the cards, he did a second sort, and I had him write it to help ingrain the spelling patterns, so he could kind of like get another visual, look at it, write it. And that was, again, he made the same mistake, even after sorting it the first time and talking about the difference between the AIN and the IN. When he sorted it again completely independently and went to write it, he still made the mistake. So I had to come up with something fast to like make him see that. So I was thinking highlighter. So I grabbed a highlighter, and I said, hey Noah, like, maybe we need to highlight these ending spelling patterns so that you can see them more easily. And he highlighted all of them, and guess what? When he went to highlight the AIN, he only highlighted the IN.
Oh.
And so I had to say to him again, okay, let's look at it again, and without giving it away. And he's like, oh, no, wait, it's AIN. They all, what do they all have in common? So while, like, yes, the sort was easy for him, he was able to sort the words, he still has a little bit of a confusion between the IN and the AIN.
Okay.
And what's the difference between the two? I mean, they both make the same sounds. So I planned, today we did a game, like with a spinner and a tic-tac-toe, and to help, identify them and spell them, and he did really, really well.
And since we're zoning in that he has difficulty with AIN and IN, then he did well, or what did he do well with the game to make you see that, okay, he's starting to get those different endings?
Well, he was able to, if the spinner landed on AIN, he clearly got the A. It's easier, though. I feel like the game was a little, but he was able to spell them correctly. So after he picked a word and flipped it over, he spelled them all from memory correct. And that's another thing about Noah, is his memory. Just throughout all these little lessons, I feel like he has an extremely strong memory, because and I didn't know that at first, but it's like, he had the trouble with the word sort, but the next day when we went to, the next time we went to do it, he knew it. The same thing with the AIN and IN. He struggled a little bit with the sort, but when we played the game today, he knew it. The same thing with our comprehension with making inferences. I thought I did a horrible job with explaining inferences, and I'm like, he's never going to remember. I have to redo it. He was able to rattle off what inferences and how to do it.
That's great.
He remembers specifically the phrases that I used the day before. So I feel like there's just something about while he does sometimes yawn and seem a little disengaged, his brain is definitely working.
Yeah.
It really is.
And I definitely noticed that in your video. But what you're telling me and what you're explaining as far as using the highlighter, giving a different activity for those two endings, that's your teachable moment. And that's something you should be really proud of yourself of, for doing that, because you know Noah, and he has a good memory. He can do this. So I think those activities were great, and using your hunches or your guesses for why your student did well was a very positive thing for you. Was there anything else as far as that I could help you with, or you feel like, I still kind of struggle with this, or I feel like this goal of mine that we talked about was met?
No, I think that everything we've discussed has been fine. I did want to tell you, too, though, remember in our planning conference, I was a little nervous, and I thought maybe 5 would be too many to do all at once, and I was just going to look for 3. Well, I put out the 5, and I said, well, let me just see how he does. And if he's struggling, I'll move it down to 3. And he was fine with the 5.
Awesome.
So I'm glad that I did stick with my plan for that, because he was able to handle it. And,
awesome. And we get so worried, let's start off slow and then start off big. But you said if he can't handle the more 5 words, and we'll bring it down. So that's something that was a good teachable moment too, and changing it. So I think that was a very well thought out plan, Michelle, and I think you're going to have really good lessons with him next week.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. No problem.